It is commonly said that when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. It simply means that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can choose how we react to it. So with heartfelt encouragement and support, no make things stress you out. Lift up your faith, man, and no meds how things appear. Instead, focus on how you'll recover. Overcoming any catastrophic event takes immense courage. On that point, welcome to another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Today, we'll look at how one sector's striving to stay ahead of unexpected events. Then, we'll learn the art of investing in a sustainable lifestyle and much more. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the news.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, July 19, 2024. A dengue mitigation campaign is being mobilized over the next 6 weeks to prevent an outbreak of the mosquito-borne disease, which has the power to be deadly. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says an initial $300 million has been allocated to the Ministry of Health and Wellness to conduct fogging and other types of control measures. These include community engagement to destroy breeding sites, destroying mosquito larvae through larvicidal actions, and a series of public education interventions on prevention strategies to avoid being bitten.
With the passage of Hurricane Beryl, there is a potential for a significant increase in the dengue vector. The Aedes aegypti mosquito, which breeds primarily in containers, is the main vector. We know that many communities are being plagued by increase in the mosquito population, and not just mosquito, but with other vectors, in terms of roaches and rats and flies, and therefore the cleanup and removal and clearing waterlogged areas is of critical importance.
Mr. Holness says the National Works Agency and National Solid Waste Management Authority will also support the dengue mitigation efforts under the National Cleanup Initiative. $2 million from the funds allocated for the Spruce Up program will be used towards Hurricane Beryl relief efforts. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett made the announcement in his presentation to close the 2024 sectoral debate in Parliament Tuesday, pointing out that many small and medium players in the industry suffered immensely at the hands of the hurricane. He says the Tourism Emergency Operations Center will be examining strategies to enable a swift recovery.
The tourism embrace is total, and it covers the entire island, and workers are from every part of the island. They suffer in various ways, and any help that we can provide to add to the good work that the government is doing in this regard, we definitely will do so.
Minister Bartlett says the $2 million will be for the hardest hit communities, while $1 million will go to communities less impacted. The Jamaica Railway Corporation, JRC, is gearing up to initiate Phase 1 of a new tourist train service between Montpelier in St. James and the Appleton Estate in St. Elizabeth. The project will involve track reconstruction, train acquisition, and the development of necessary infrastructure along the proposed route. In addition to this, the JRC is set to begin preparations for the reintroduction of passenger and freight train services between Spanish Town and Kingston. Another significant development is the finalization of a commercial rail service from Bodles Junction to Linstead in St. Catherine, aimed specifically at transporting aggregates. These initiatives are part of the JRC's ongoing efforts this year to revitalize and expand rail services and enhance its financial performance. The JRC is also expected to commence discussions with private investors to secure funding for building rail infrastructure, rehabilitating existing rolling stock, acquiring new trains, and upgrading the entity's Kingston workshop. Details of these and other engagements are contained in the Jamaica Public Bodies of Estimates and Expenditure for the fiscal year ending March 2025. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is making the case for Negril to have its own local authority. He says the town has outgrown its current governance structure, which is posing challenges both to infrastructure and administration.
Negril as a town is growing far beyond its infrastructure, but it is also growing far beyond the system set for local governance. So our system is that the towns are within a parish and the boundaries determine which local authority has control over the town.
Prime Minister Holness says due to the growth and expansion of Negril, the town has crossed over from Westmoreland into Hanover, leaving the question as to who is in charge.
So we have to do that necessary exercise of the consultation with the stakeholders and then do the necessary legislative changes to actually give Negril its own municipal authority.
The Prime Minister was speaking to members of the Negril business community and other stakeholders on July 12. A Jamaican business delegation comprised of representatives from 11 entities are now on a multi-country Latin American mission from July 17 to 26. The countries to be visited are Mexico, Colombia, and El Salvador, where new opportunities will be explored and secured in these non-traditional markets. The trip, which is organized by the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, is being led by the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill. JAMPRO says the mission not only seeks to promote Jamaican goods and services, but also highlight the country's potential in foreign direct investments and exports. JAMPRO President Shillette Cox tells JIS News that a 3-member new markets development team has been established to engage the Latin American market.
Once we get into the market and we meet the potential investors and the persons that are potential buyers of Jamaican goods and services, our team, their job is now to work with those contacts to bring them to a point where we can say these people are serious about doing business with Jamaica, and we and progress them through all the steps that we have in JAMPRO through our various processes and protocols to make sure that they become a business reality for Jamaica.
Ms. Cox says JAMPRO will also be leveraging Jamaica's foreign missions in Mexico and Colombia, working closely with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. And finally, the Denby Agricultural Show, which typically runs for 3 days, is being scaled down to a 1-day event this year as the sector continues to recover from Hurricane Beryl. The announcement was made by the Portfolio Minister Floyd Green during Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House. He says the decision to shorten the event for this year was made after discussions with the Jamaica Agricultural Society and other internal stakeholders. Denby 2024 will focus on the resilience and support of farmers as the sector goes through its recovery process.
This is the 70th year of Denby, and as such, clearly we know that Denby is a celebration of our farmers, and now more than ever, as they show resilience in this time, we wanted to see how could we still celebrate our farmers. But we do appreciate that a number of our farmers will be hard pressed to provide the usual support that they normally provide for Denby.
The show will also feature seminars on disaster preparedness and recovery, as well as various discounts and incentives for farmers.
We will also establish a window where those farmers who have not yet received assistance, who've been damaged, will be able to come, give that information so that we can channel some support to them.
Minister Green is calling on all Jamaicans to buy local in order to help support farmers in their rebuilding efforts. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Money are your problem, car are your problem. Hey, whatever the problem is, just let it go, because stress is not a flex. A quick way to let go the stress is to find someone you can share your concerns with. And if you can't do that, then find other ways to release your stress, because stress is not a flex.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has embarked on a journey to help our youth let go the stress, installing wellness benches in schools across Jamaica, setting them up as safe spaces for communication about mental challenges. If you can't find a seat on the bench, get a hold of this exercise to help you alleviate the stress.
First of all, I want you to think about the worst thing that offends you and upset you and you're uncertain about. Just think about it. And then, after 3, I want to transfer the stress from the brain into the ball, and it has to show on the face. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's take a look at our tourism sector and the measures that have been put in place to help it withstand future disruptions.
Building resilience requires ongoing surveillance and anticipatory actions. The sharing of information among the member countries of the UNWTO is absolutely critical, as is the need to consistently and constantly invent and reinvent solutions to meet unexpected occurrences.
Such was the idea behind the staging of the second Global Tourism Resilience Day conference.
The discussions around investment in tourism is not just to bring foreign direct investment into a space, but is to broaden the whole development capacity within a country.
That includes planning for future disruptions so that the economy may not only withstand disasters, but possibly prosper through them. Hence, discussions surrounded 5 key points to help build tourism resilience: forecasting, tracking disruptions, mitigation, management, recovery, and thriving.
We have to look at the impact of what we're doing. We can't just look at data, numbers. We have to make sure that what we do has a potential positive impact on the communities, on the environment, and at the end of the day, on the global agenda related to all the issues that are critical in order to achieve sustainable development.
It is an idea shared by Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, who presented in Prime Minister Andrew Holness's stead.
This conference has brought together key stakeholders, experts, and policymakers to address the challenges facing our sector and to explore innovative solutions for the future. The conference has richly featured, along with practical advice, discussions on various aspects of tourism resilience, including digital innovation.
Data analytics and insights. We've got data for who's coming in and who's leaving when. How do we capitalize that data to understand what the customer experienced, what they missed out experiencing on this particular trip, and what are their interests? Do they have kids? So do we need more things for kids to do? Do we need a big water park? What do we need? So all these data analytics will assist us in understanding the psychology of the customers visiting and leaving and re-engaging them to come back.
And infrastructure resilience.
Now is the time for us to take a step back and look at our current tourism plans, the shortfalls and the challenges, and look towards creating a comprehensive plan based on visioning and forecasting where we want to be as a region in terms of carrying capacity, types of tourism models, local sensibilities, and the impact of the total economy through linkages.
The role of women.
The resilience of the tourism industry, nationally and globally, hinges on empowering women, ensuring that they receive equitable opportunities break down the barriers that hinder professional advancement.
Sustainable financing.
What are we doing for small businesses who don't have the credibility, the credit history, the experience in the industry, when we know that the small businesses are the heart of the tourism product?
And of course, future challenges and mitigating strategies. Through these discussions, we aim to shape a more resilient, adaptive, and sustainable tourism industry that can withstand the future shocks and thrive in the face of adversity.
In a move that will further bolster Jamaica's lead in tourism resilience, a partnership was forged with UN Tourism and the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center. It is being rebranded as the Global Tourism Resilience Center.
This center will be the place, brain, I don't know, university, think tank, call it however you want, which will give first the right communication to the countries or member states.
We will be announcing the establishment of a Caribbean Tourism Academy, which the UN is going to work with us on as part of their global network.
UN Tourism also will continue to partner with Destination Jamaica in hosting the Global Tourism Resilience Day Conference moving forward. In another move, Minister Bartlett used the forum to reiterate calls for a Tourism Resilience Fund. This would be a trust where tourists pay a contribution towards their destination of choice, which will go directly to that country and is accessible for tourism strengthening.
I look at the multilateral structure as it now obtains, and even with the IMF S&T fund, it creates a problem for many countries to access. And the problem of the bureaucracy that is entailed in it, the problem with classification of countries and what qualifies you to draw down, and then the requirement for sometimes very onerous policy implementation and policy changes and shifts puts all of these countries at serious risk in terms of being able to ever be resilient. So we in tourism have that task, I believe. And I'm saying this with my SG here, that this is part of our task. How do we get the world to respond to creating a fund that is accessible to all? And what then is our personal responsibility as tourists in this regard?
As a multilateral development bank that is committed to strengthening partnerships, we welcome the opportunity presented by the conference to join forces with all other development partners that are working in the Caribbean to support the implementation of agreed recommendations emerging from this conference.
One of the problems that occurred in the past was the delay, significant delay in the issuing of warrants for persons who did not pay at the tax office and did not attend the court. And so what happened there was that a culture of impunity had developed, where persons felt that when they received a ticket from the police, they could simply ignore it. So where we are now is that we are now current with the issuing of warrants in respect of the current cases. So what that means is that for persons who do not pay at the tax office, don't attend the court, the warrants are being issued and will be issued, and you will be arrested and brought before the court. If you do not wish to come to court, then go to the tax office. Also, you have the option of contesting it, so you don't pay at the tax office, but you must turn up at court on the date and time stated in the summons. Failing that, a warrant will be issued and you will be brought before the court.
Earlier, I mentioned the analogy of using lemons to make lemonade. Well, our next feature will show you how one school, with the assistance of the Ministry of Education and Youth, uses a monetary seed to yield invaluable rewards.
Nestled in the rural expanse of northwestern Clarendon, Frankfield Primary and Infant School stands as a beacon of innovation and sustainability in agriculture education. With an enrollment of nearly 600 students, the school has embraced an initiative that aligns with the Ministry of Education and Youth's broader vision. It exemplifies the National School Nutrition Policy's goal of integrating local produce into school meals.
A critical component of the National School Nutrition Policy is that we want to infuse the local produce. And one way to do that is to get the schools on board in terms of school gardening. And so the approach is one of collaboration. When we work with the schools can have the local consumption being part of the meal preparation at school. And so it's a critical aspect of the policy.
Frankfield Primary was among 26 schools selected to kickstart this initiative, receiving $392,000 to get their garden project off the ground. The approach?
We formed a committee, and then because we don't have much space, we decided that we were going to do container gardening. However, when we looked at the soil that we have, we realized that the soil is very rich. So we decided to scale down the containers and plant the crops directly into the soil. We also decided to erect a greenhouse, and 2 teachers volunteered their services to erect it one weekend.
The selection of crops was strategic.
We wanted something that was quick, that is resistant to pests, and will give you a good yield. And so we decided that we're going to use callaloo as the base crop. And then we introduced cucumbers, lettuce, pak choy, gungo peas, pumpkin, among several other plants that you see.
Some of the suckers, they were donated to us from parents, also students, because the students are doing R&T, that's resource and technology. So some of them will take in their seedlings for us to use. So right now we have a greenhouse at the back of the tuck shop, and we also plant some crops along the different parts of the school with the limited space that we have.
Welcome to Frankfield Primary and Infant School greenhouse. So I like about the greenhouse that they do not use genetically modified seeds like other schools or other farmers. Everything in here is fresh. And about the canteen, that they don't have to buy or spend a lot of money on crops to use inside of the canteen for our lunches. So instead of wasting money, they have it at their fingertips to come and pick and use it inside of the canteen.
When it comes down to the matter of nutrition, it's a whole school, whole community, and that is why we would have met with the vendors, we would have updated them in terms of the approach, in terms of the goal. And I must say the vendors have been super supportive in terms of the role that they have to play in ensuring that whatever is it that they are also providing to the student is healthy and nutritious.
The school garden, it has a lot of benefits. First of all, you know, the 21st generation, they are mostly on their gadgets. And even though this is a rural school, they are still on their gadgets. So you need to get them to become one with nature and, you know, to learn how to grow the crops and to know that no matter the space that you have, you can do something in growing crops.
I learned in my social studies class about different parts of agriculture, and I learned how to plant the seeds and how to care for the plants as they grow.
In the school cafeteria, we use the pak choy, callaloo, we use sweet pepper, also the cucumber, right? Others are used as well, but those are the ones that we mostly use. And we use those for the students to eat whenever they are having lunch, for them to stay more healthy, give them more nutrition and so on.
Reflecting on the progress, Kyra Jade can hardly believe her eyes.
It's hard to think that 2 months ago this garden didn't even exist. It has made a wonderful contribution to our school and students.
I just want to encourage Jamaicans. You know, most Jamaicans do not have a large plot of land, but it doesn't matter the space, you can do something. You have tires, you have bottles, you have pots. Just look to see what works well in your area and plant something, and you will feel good when the harvest comes.
Frankfield Primary and Infant School's garden project is not just an agricultural endeavor. It's a testament to the power of community, education, and sustainability coming together to enrich the lives of students. An example for schools across Jamaica.
We need all Jamaicans to know that child abuse is not just an issue for the government, it's an issue for all Jamaicans. So we need everybody to help us to protect our children. If you know of a child who is being victimized, a child who is abused or neglected, just make that report so we can get that child the help they need. Calling or reporting is easy. All you have to do is remember to call 211. If you are an adult, if you're a child, if you are in church, in your community group, wherever you are, once you are aware there's a child who is in need of care and protection, just be the one and call 211.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, scores of volunteers have poured into communities across Jamaica to offer their time and resources to aid the recovery efforts. Among these communities is Rocky Point in Clarendon, where a significant show of support has been evident.
Today we're represented by over 70 volunteers. We're here representing 25 credit unions, over 1 million members. We issued over 300 care packages, tarpaulins and necessities right here to this fishing village because the need is great. We say family at credit union. We have the people on the inside.
The volunteering efforts further emphasize the solidarity among us Jamaicans. For out of many, we are one. And so when one community is affected, we are all affected. As recovery efforts continue, the spirit of unity and support remains strong, with more help on the way for Rocky Point and other affected areas. We've reached the end of our program. Get a recap of everything you saw here and on our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.